very willing to go for the Lucian variant, which it seems like NIP might lock in to try and answer that bot lane pressure.
Okay, so now you can leave your support a little longer and hide your, but they want to hide potentially something else that they would want to pick. Maybe their jungler could come in on 3. Actually thinking about it, I wonder whether they want to hold on to Aki's picks. He actually withstood a lot of draft pressure last time in the series.
It's worth mentioning how crazy it is that we're getting Lucian Nami versus Kalista Renata this split, with the amount of bot lane bans all split long from almost every single team. Like, Lucian and Kalista barely have played against each other in the LPL across this split. But because of all of these mid lane bans, because of the support bans as well, it allows these super powerful bot lanes to get in.
I wonder whether we see Shinso or Poppy locked in right now, because you've got double dashes, so that would be pretty important. We did talk about the ASOL, it would be a bold blind pick, but it could happen here. I just wonder whether Aki should be locking in something like that Poppy or the Shinso right now to secure themselves an early 3v3 advantage. You can also look for level 1s and level 2s versus that Poppy, versus the Vi rather, and they do lock that in. Very valuable here, means that Aki will have first swing at Shun if they get themselves good information on Shun's early play.
I remember Aki had an incredible game number 4 of the previous series on that Poppy. He was like 3-0 at 2 minutes or something ridiculous. It was something else. However, that was a lane swap game. That was because of the Renekton at the top side. It was because of the Nautilus that Zhuo had. Won't have the same tools this time around, so we'll see what he can make happen with this Poppy. But Nico going to be banned away from Knight. Azir the answer as well. I'll be amazed if ASOL makes it through this round of bans.
Yeah, I think that one's quite valuable, but then again, the problem is that NIP, they have to save their blind pick for one of these, well, their counter pick for one of these lanes, right? And giving counter pick to Bin and topside might also be a bit of an issue. You know, you do have the Rek'Sai. I think that would be a good 4 lock-in for Shanji. Allows him to kind of like survive and take on all comers, especially with the Rumble gone. There isn't that many lane answers available to it. So then you really are just looking up at Rookie to see if there's the team composition will fit an ASOL, and I wonder whether that will be a threat instead. It is just banned away. So the 3 big mid laners for Rookie that we've talked about, the Ahri, the Talia, the ASOL, no longer available.
So Karma's open as an option for either of these guys. It's been a big pick across the course of the split. They don't necessarily have those carry junglers that Karma likes to go alongside though, but LeBlanc open. Orianna open as well, one of Rookie's absolute classic picks. But even things like the Hwei have made it very far into this draft considering how many mid lane bans there are.
We did see a lot of LeBlanc bans towards Rookie, but it will be the Hwei. So, Mage locked in for the mid lane strong laning phase. Not many things which answer this one out. And I guess with the Nico gone from Knight, he doesn't have himself big engaged champions alongside that Annie as well. So he's going to be looking for something which can just kind of go Mage versus Mage potentially himself. He would really like something that can shove and roam, but I just don't know if there's anything really left on the table for him now. It is going to be that Orianna for Knight. It's Mage versus Mage.
And up top side now, Bin has to go for the blind pick. And it's very likely to be that Rek'Sai, let's be honest. It's been incredibly blindable so far in the LPL. Shanji regrettably has to go up against it again. This time he's not going Renekton though. It's going to be Twisted Fate top, locked in for Shanji. This will be the first time he plays the pick this year.
And it's very important that he does have a pick that he can at least try and hope to break this Rek'Sai lane open with, though. He did it with the Rumble earlier into the playoffs, and he showed that he can play against that champion with his counter pick. This Twisted Fate, though, very important. Now means that you have the Twisted Fate that can be a bit more global pressure. You can kind of push and roam outside of that top lane, combo up with the rest of the team. Still, I really feel like both of these teams, very early game centric. You've got Kalista Renata, there's a Lucian Nami, they can fist fight. Vi versus this Poppy as well is going to be an absolute key matchup. NIP will need to get into Shun's face early, get vision down early, use Aki to steamroll the map like he did versus FPX in that last deciding game.
Can they find the advantages? Can they steamroll? Steamroll, I think, is the operative word coming into this one. Hyper-aggressive bot lanes. We've got these mages that want to push and roam. We've got the Twisted Fate top for lane dominance. But both junglers as well, very willing to get into these lanes and kick the action off. NIP have shown that they can snowball games, but when it comes to snowballing games, they are up against the very best in the business. BLG finally making it onto stage 4 playoffs. We're in round 4. The double elimination now kicks in. NIP have earned the honor of taking on the very best in the league, the team that has made a new record for how LPL regular splits can go. Let's see what NIP have to bring against the best.
That was loud. That was loud, man.
Yeah, the BLG fans are out in force. And after last year, it's not surprising that there is a large contingent there for BLG after such an incredible 2023. But look, we'll talk history later. Let's talk about this early game, because this is going to be all about the early game. Shun and Aki both have champions that can influence these lanes.
Yeah, you can see that BLG using the Kalista Renata to buy a little bit of safe space for Shun. I think it's really important that Knight Elkanon just did this, because one of the problems with Vi, and again, I continually shout out Gilius, who talks about this a lot on his own stream, in terms of Vi is not a champion at level 1. You need to protect her before she can get to level 3. Once you get level 3, Vi can influence anywhere on the map. So NIP, you could see that they walked into River at first, very early on, to see if they could upset this jungler. Couldn't quite manage to do that because of the lanes, and now we get ourselves into a true laning phase and see whether Aki or Shun can strike first.
We'll be looking at that level 3 for both champions as well. Like you say, Vi, big spike at level 3. Poppy, incredibly strong at that level 3 mark. Yeah, I wasn't going to say it. I feel like we overthrew that joke at this point, but it's so true. It's just so true. There's aggressive trades already down in that bottom lane. You just know that with this matchup as well, like, there's so much mechanical prowess in this 2v2. With these champions, this can explode at any second.
Yeah, we see that it is actually going to be the Hail of Blades coming out of Elk as well. Now, sometimes that's an indicator that it will go towards Lethality Kalista later into the game. But for now, just means that you are very, very strong in the early few levels. You stack up those Ren stacks very, very quickly. Aki onto bot side a little quicker than Shun, but does have the option. You can see what Aki's done. He's done a couple of camps top side, goes towards bot side, which gives him the option to either answer bot side at level 3 or clear towards top side instead, and kind of like a reverse clear. And while all this is happening, very important that Rookie gets some eyes onto Shun as well. Aki hits level 3 and is going to be off vision as the ward dies.
So moves into River here. Knows exactly where Shun is as he heads towards this red buff. Shun could be in trouble on this one. Finally spots that Aki is here. Got Prio in that bottom lane for BLG, so Aki does have to be a little bit cautious. As you see on the minimap, Elk starts to roam over alongside On. Aki may have overstayed. We're going to have a smite fight for the buff. Shun wins it out. Aki now slowed by the red buff. Shun following up, but no. The bot lane from BLG will just reset.
So Aki, in one way, just buying up time from Shun and tries to get himself... yeah, stop recall. But now Aki, stop recall, was wondering if there was something more there. The big thing about that play is that Aki had red buff to no red buff, and of course he got the W to stop the Vi going in for a Q, unless you have a very well-timed Q flash. All the same, Shun stands his ground, manages to get that buff, and sadly for Aki, can't get any really big advantages there. He's slowed down his own clear, but again, he is still level 3, still has all of the levels which he needs to for the early game. Sadly though, BLG have been very, very consistent in not allowing Aki any advantages so far in this early game.
Nice bit of CSing there from On, actually setting up both melees. You know, it's one of the things that some supports not necessarily the best at finding those CS. On gets his moment, gets a few gold for himself. It's always nice to see. This Knight could be ganked in this mid lane. Kind of difficult to make ganks happen in the mid lane these days, especially against that Orianna. Anyway, flash from Shun. Red buff is sticking on Rookie. I don't think they can finish it though. Aki walks away and Rookie barely gets out.
Oh, so close. You know what? I didn't actually see whether Shun managed to get himself like a clean auto reset with his auto E. So close from Rookie though. Gets out alive, he'll be able to teleport back into the lane, and it's Shun who blows his flash for that expense, though. Now Shun is in bot side, does have the Lucian Nami staring at him. I don't think he can stay around for the blue buff because of their presence, and Shun, seriously, doing well in this early game. Managed to win the fight around the red buff and gets himself a flash in mid lane.
Aki, a player that has had a lot of criticism towards him this year. Kind of proven a lot of that wrong in the previous series, but he's up against one of the very best. And I just want to quickly talk about the fact that, you know, Shun was trained up by Rookie on the other side as well. You remember that IG roster? There was so many memes about Rookie and his son Shun as they roamed around the map together. Well, Aki is the guy that gets to roam around with Rookie now, and you just know that Shun is going to want to look good today. You know that he wants to win out this matchup. This one's a little bit personal.
Absolutely, and the thing is that Rookie also kind of acts like a second jungler for his own team. He kind of always did, even back in his World Championship days as well. He was very good at getting out onto the map and roaming. He's been denied that by BLG from the draft in terms of the picks which he does that best on. So the Hwei, not necessarily the best at shoving and roaming. We can see that Knight now with the flash gone on his lane opponent. He can control this mid lane even more so. Shun's going to go towards the Grubs, and Naki might see himself with a cross-map opportunity. Problem is, though, compared to the previous series against FPX, BLG are pushing much harder in regards to jungle vision themselves. They spotted Aki, so he won't be, again, able to find an easy entrance into one of these lanes.
I just find it entertaining that it's 5:50 on the clock when Aki finishes his first blue buff. Like, how rarely do you see blue buff left that long in the game, as Shun will be able to grab himself those 3 grubs. Drake still up on the map here, but I don't know if that's something that NIP can just brute force at this point. The impression wave up on this top side. Getting a bit of pressure. The wave cleared so fast by this Twist of Fate. Knight's moved up as well. They're going to have to wait a little while for these minions, though.
Knight does have his ult. He's found a way to shove and roam, and now he pops the ult. He can't necessarily get straight out. Knight can just flash shockwave him.
Okay, Knight takes 2 tower shots to try and get his ball at a good spot, and Shanji just ults out. He's like, all right, I'm out of here, boys. See you later. In the meantime, NIP will start that Drake off as well, so a bit overforced, honestly, on the top side.
Maybe, and now you have a gold card in River. Shun, you've got to be careful. You think he's gone back to base?
They thought Shanji had just run away. Shanji's setting up a play elsewhere. Shanji will pick up first blood in the river on Shun.
Oh, Shanji, what a play. He doesn't teleport back in the lane. Of course, you can tell that he's teleporting away. You just don't know where to. He goes into the river, catches out the jungler. Important moment. And NIP showing once again why they have such a big first blood presence within the LPL. Their early plays have always found these interesting angles to get themselves onto the board.
Phenomenal bit of play there from Shanji. Really creative in a essentially losing situation, right? You're forced out your lane, you're going to miss an entire wave, and that gets away with it off of the back of Bin unburrowing on the wave. And here he's like, hang on a second. They're going to be here in a moment. Skull crabs up.
I mean, there was the outside chance that Knight would be heading down the river as well, but I think on the low HP, you kind of just know that he can't influence the fight either way. It's the big thing, so Shanji gets a freebie, and now we have ourselves a 4v3 in bot side. 4v4 rather.
This is more like it! BLG are like, right, we lost one play time to kick things off. Diving in the bottom side, Photic goes down, doesn't even get to use his flash from that combo. Look how many minions are dying to the tower. It's already almost a 20 CS lead, plus all of those are going to go down. This is Photic being set very far behind. Aki tries to go in, but just gets destroyed by BLG.
And this happens as, oh god, Rookie very nearly claiming back another. That happened over 2 control wards and a vision ward down in the bottom side of the jungle for NIP. NIP had the vision control, but couldn't do squat about it. And a lot of that is because Knight, once again, shoves and roams. I honestly think after that flash was blown in mid lane from Rookie, Knight has been just steamrolling on this Orianna. Now with 1-0-1, couldn't make the play happen in top side, yes, and the Shanji managed to catch out Shun back towards, as he was returning back towards his own side of the map. But really, it feels like a lot of this is now originating from Knight controlling this mid lane matchup, and NIP caught a bit flat-footed.
I hope Orianna becomes a big pick in this series. I feel like not only is Knight showing us that he can absolutely flex on the pick, he's up against Rookie, who it's his signature, let's be honest. So the initial dive, Aki, oh no, this is the follow-up, is Aki trying to get a chance. That handshake from On is perfect.
Oh man, and the heal means they get out alive, no bailout needed. They are fiscally responsible on the spot side of the map. BLG, again, this team, we've waited a little while to see them in playoffs. They have earned the right to give themselves a breather and to watch the tape and to get themselves a bit more prepared. And they have come in with a real head of steam here as well. NIP, I don't even think they were looking for bad angles in this game. So BLG, they've countered them even better. And now we have ourselves a confirmation that it is Elk going towards the lethality Kalista. Does himself opportunity on the bot side of the map. What can he find?
Elk stays, but this is 3v2. Aki's behind them right now. Opportunity in the inventory of Elk, so he is strong at this point on the target, though. Aki just ignores Elk entirely and looks for the support. Bailout's in play, and Photic's so chunked. It's not quite enough, but my god, that was close.
Yeah, this is the thing about the Kalista. Less extended damage, incredible burst. Very nearly takes down Photic with him. As On goes down, but it's going to be a good angle from Aki. Gets himself his first kill participation of this game. It's going to be a trade for Grubs on the top side, so BLG will be able to, I think actually important in this case, take away Grubs from the side of NIP. I don't think it's easy to hit towers as the Rek'Sai against the Twisted Fate, but imagine if TF had those 6 Grubs instead.
Yeah.
NIP could be playing through a split push win condition, so while BLG can't use it as well themselves, it's an important takeaway.
And one thing I will say as well is, when you get 6 Grubs, the sheer pushing power of that, the fact that you're running a Kalista composition with a Rek'Sai top, like, you're very short range, sieging is not exactly this composition's forte. Having that extra pushing power, just getting 1 or 2 autos on the tower, does so much more when you've got 6 Grubs in your pocket.
It just means that if you ever cross maps, things go wrong most of the time. So NIP, typically, in this playoffs, they have shown a better level of macro than they did in the regular split. Did feel like sometimes they could kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit from regular season, but particularly against FPX, they were winning that macro out. They will need to do that now, because particularly against those Grubs and the fact that you have, you know, the Rek'Sai, which waves clears very quickly, the Orianna, which waves clears very quickly, and the Kalista Renata, which are doing well in their own laning phase. NIP cannot drop the ball now.
Certainly can't. We're looking towards that 15-minute mark, remember. BLG, 100% win rate when they're ahead at 15. I'm going to keep repeating that today until it's proven wrong. Because nobody in the league has been able to prove it wrong just yet. And even in the BLG Top Esports Series, they both maintained that stat as they either just dominated the early game or lost. So we'll see how that's going to go today. It's a minor gold lead for BLG right now, but those 6 Grubs could lead to more. Drake up on the map, and NIP got the first.
So BLG, they'd really like to get down towards there. NIP not playing with a great deal of vision, though. They don't know where Shun is, and he has level 6. That's a problem. He has himself a Sundered Sky. That's another problem. So he's going to have himself a lot of damage, a lot of ability to lock temp someone down. NIP, they need to buy themselves a way into this river if they want to fight, but they're going to be able to do so. And indeed, they're not. They get themselves a wave clear, well, vision clear after this point. They might get forced onto it.
Oh, rookie, good combo onto Elk here. He's the target, and he's taken down, but no, the bailout saves him. Aki falls, is now diving for more. Shun sets up onto Photic, punts him back and sets it up for the second.
And here we go, a bit more blood in the water. A rookie gets off a vision for that first play. Knight bails out his AD carry, though, so both of these mid laners making their impact felt in that play at least. And at the end of this, you know, you've now suddenly got 2-0-2 on both of the carries for BLG, despite the fact that the gold lead wasn't that big, and it's still not that huge. BLG are walking away with some really good early gold onto the right people that can take over this game.
I think one of the crazy things about this game as well is, like, that the scrapping is just immaculate. Like, that is beautiful fighting coming out from BLG off the back of what looked like a really solid engage from NIP, a really solid sort of assassination. The Renata brings so much there. But on top of that, the fact that BLG have found themselves this aggressive lead, mostly on the top side as well, when they're running the Rek'Sai against Twisted Fate, like, you almost never expect any Grubs to go that way in this kind of matchup.
And I think a lot of it is because Aki's been looking for these early angles, which means they've been a bit behind the play. You see right here, he ends up turning up for this one. Largely, though, this is Rookie getting off the vision and finding a great combo. Rookie starts this one off. Knight, though, as we said, kind of throws the cards back in the dealer's face and says, nope, bail out, and gets himself back on the board as well.
Great bailout coming through. The hostile takeover as well, kind of denying the potential follow-up. And Elk surviving that, keeping his shutdown. You see 2-0-2. He's got that opportunity. He's had that for a little while, but another serrated Dirk in his pocket as well. I'm personally not a big fan of this lethality Kalista. However, when it comes to regularly scrapping around neutral objectives early on in the game, there's no two ways about it. This build is just stronger right now than the on-hit would be.
Okay, so Herald fight started up. Twisted Fate ult pulled. They can't find themselves an engage, though, before the objective goes down. This is something which happens to NIP. Sometimes they can struggle to find themselves a fight when they're not on the objective first. They kind of just spectate it going down. Here comes On!
On with the flash handshake. Aki served up on a silver plate, but no. He's fallen off the table, cutlery's everywhere, and suddenly On's the one in trouble. The combo from Rookie just one-shots him.
This Hwei does so much damage, and this is why, in this kind of game, you look at the lethality Kalista and you look at the Hwei on the other side and go, yeah, I can understand why suddenly standing even within just the screen's distance of them can be very bad for my short-term health, as both are very, very bursty. However, Rookie needs to be very, very careful if that fog of war comes out of it, and here comes Shun.
He's the target. Shun takes down his old teacher here alongside his new mid laner in Knight. Fantastic little combo and kind of a bit of revenge for the pick that Rookie got onto Shun earlier in the game.
He did, and it really has felt, in my eyes, that this game has largely been determined by which mid laner has been active in the play and finds himself the best angle. Rookie had himself a good couple of combos. Knight, though, been out on the map, getting himself good value. You can see that with a bubble force. It's actually going to be the Renata ult taken for free. Threaten of Photic going forwards.
Yeah, I'm just scared of that potential all-in as Bin gets onto Shanji here. It's very difficult to commit to this, but Bin actually going to use his own ultimate to try and find more. Shanji just spacing it beautifully and sends Bin packing. Even Bin in this matchup, you can't find anything.
And it's really important for NIP that Shanji can have a dominant 1v1 matchup. Shun doesn't have flash, so we can't really force a play here unless Shanji really walks up into that kind of like sweet spot range where you're stood just at the E range of Rek'Sai to get you the free knockup. It's basically what happened in that last trade too, which is why Ben at least manages to trade, you know, ult for Ghost. It's kind of nice in that sense. But Shanji being okay in the individual matchup, being good in the individual matchup is something so important for them, given how good Ben has been on an individual level. His laning stats have been absolutely absurd, despite the fact that he's had basically no jungle attention. For Shanji to stand up there means that NIP don't have to worry about Ben quite as much.
No. The Rek'Sai as well, not exactly like a lane-dominant pick necessarily. Like, obviously, you can weather pretty much any lane. Like, that's one of the values of it. But it's when it comes to the mid-game of the team fights, you're just unkillable. The flanks you can get, the engages that you can set up on this pick are incredibly powerful. Feels a little bit like modern Ornn, honestly. Like, or at least a modern version of what Ornn used to be, where he's just an exceptionally potent weak side pick, but also in the right matchup can terrorize the top lane too.
It is just that sense of lane-dominant tanks. It's always been that kind of identity to it. So Herald summoned in mid lane. It's going to be mid lane out of turret. Taken BLG, their second of the game. Yeah. That means that you start to open up this map a little bit more. When you have picks like the lethality Kalista and the Lucian, playing around mid lane waves is so very important because they're both very dominant at going towards that. Dragon has spawned though. NIP, they're not in position to defend this at all. It will be a very easy Drake going over to the side of BLG. Thing is though, what's the cross map from NIP? They're looking to catch out Knight on the side lane with the Hex Gates.
Has flash available, has TP should he get an angle, but that's going to be the ult coming through from Shanji as well. No way out of this one. Knight just going to be burst on down. Shockwave even fizzles at the end. It doesn't even go on cooldown.
Bit disrespectful actually from Knight. You know, there's no contest coming on the bot side. You have incredible vision around mid lane and towards that dragon as well. There's only one place they can be, process elimination. It's top lane, and the Hex Gates on the map make it even easier for them to arrive at that location. Good angle though, picked by NIP. Get some gold on the board, and if they can start getting picks on side lanes, that's a good sign for their comp.
Do you know, it's just dawned on me. Poppy plus Hex Gates essentially is Nocturne. That's what you're up against at this point. Aki can just fly across the map to make this setup for the play, and then you've got a Twisted Fate on top of it. Like,
it's
you
not
really
just
can't be
darkness.
this far
It's
forward.
not just darkness. It's darkness with a hammer. I think that's even more terrifying in some ways. And,
Dark diplomacy.
I can get behind that one, but still, the fact that you're getting gold on sidelines important from NIP. If you can use this Twisted Fate to just turn up alongside those Hex Gates, BLG will have to play this game differently. I do think that, you know, the Lucian Nami, it can be sometimes quite hard, so you stay safe against the combo which BLG have, particularly with the Vi being able to force plays through the tidal wave, you know, if they go unstoppable when they cast that ultimate. So NIP, if they can stay safe in that mid lane, even through that, and get vision on, and they get picks on the side lane, that's a win condition for them.
Certainly is. And I will say, NIP, like, it's not like they're not going to scale well. You know, this Lucian certainly scales better than a lethality Kalista. That's no argument available there. If this game does continue at a slower pace, things can look good. But that's why the fact that these last two Drakes have gone towards BLG is very positive. The fact that they got the 6 grubs, the fact that now Baron spawning in 20 seconds could be an option for them to threaten the Kalista, even with lethality. Still does a lot of Baron damage thanks to the Rend you can secure alongside a Smite. Does make it difficult to contest, and those Grubs finally coming in as Knight gets to hit a tower.
And that's really important too. Another big thing about this, of course, Shanji hyper winning that Rek'Sai matchup does not win against the Orianna. That Shockwave very, very threatening because you get chunked out very heavily and you're not building any magic with this. Knight is currently, 1v2ing, 1v3ing before this and gets themselves a top lane inner turret. Great lane allocation from Bilibili. They take that top lane inner turret, Jace basically because they realize that Orianna is winning the side lane matchups, whoever she faces.
Yeah, fantastic Orianna game so far from Knight. Aside from the one death that he did get in the early stages of the game, he's just looked immaculate. Oh, not in the early stages when he was going out.
We saw it.
Sorry.
It was the
like
dark
literally
diplomacy.
2 minutes ago. But fantastic game from him so far in terms of bringing this Orianna into the game, which is a pick that really has not been a high priority in LPL, aside from that Nocturne combo. But alongside the Vi, it's not that dissimilar of a combo, realistically.
Yeah, if you find one target out of position, they pop. So we'll have to see if NIP can keep themselves safe. One of the big problems here is that you can see Shun, Knight just kind of going into each and every bush. Someone like Rookie needs to be very careful. He was spotted there and you need to be careful of this!
Speaking of the combo, Rookie flashes away from it. The hostile takeover will keep them there as Aki tries to save his mid laner and will be able to do so. On now, the target as the culling comes on through. Fate's Call saves On's life. On saved Elk with the bailout before. Elk returns the faith.
No one goes down, but that's 4 ults from BLG, and, well, 3 on the other side cast just then from NIP. 7 ults in total for a 0-kill fight. That's a lot of action for not much blood. BLG mess up the combo, though. They don't land the Q flash from the Vi. They don't end up getting the Shockwave in the duration of the Vi ultimate either. So Rookie gets to flash out, finds a gap within that CC combo. Importantly so, NIP, if they lose kills there, that probably would have been Baron, and that potentially would have destabilized their game around playing around this Twisted Fate in the side lane. I think if you lose Baron against BLG, NIP, it's very hard for them to get back in the game, which makes that play fizzling out a breath of fresh air.
And I think it's really important, the timing of this play. BLG, it felt a little desperate, a little forced on that one. Trying to make this play before Drake is up on the bottom side of the map and they have to shift their vision down to the opposite side, right? They've done such a good job of pushing that vision line further forward, getting the tier 2 in the top side, clearing as much vision as possible around the Baron area. Like, that was the window, that was the angle to try and get a pick with this Vi. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out. And now, all of that work getting vision control off the top side is kind of for nothing.
So, 20 seconds till Dragon. What's going to happen around this one? NIP do have themselves some vision, but they've got some chunks on them. They just got themselves a bit of vision control to fight themselves an important Dragon fight, but they get chunked out just all the same. So BLG, they walk into bot side River now, get to play some vision themselves, and with the global double buffs available for this fight, red buff and blue buff and every single member, they will feel very confident going towards this, and Knight continuing to use that Wrecking Ball. Just have to wonder when that Shockwave will come out.
I don't know what it is, but when surprising chunks of damage happen, it turns me into like an old pensioner. Just start whooping at the screen like a maniac. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah, Orianna, kick the ball!
Yeah, here we go. Shanji TP in behind enemy lines here. Doesn't really find the pick that they're looking for. This is going to be Drake for BLG. And NIP, kind of a lackluster attempt at finding that.
NIP, it's not been... Oh, I have to see if Shun goes for the engage. He's looking for it. Going forwards as well. NIP got to be careful.
Oh, Bot's just going to dive forwards and handshake to start it. Rookie, the target. CC taken down. Now a Shockwave onto 2 as well, as Knight is the carry. Elk was kicked out of the play and it doesn't even matter.
On hits the off switch on Rookie's life and takes down the enemy mid laner. This is going to open up the Baron. NIP cannot afford to lose this one and bin soloing out Aki.
This is looking like an MVP performance from On so far for me. He's been stellar on this Renata. Shanji with the gold card wants to set up a play, but like you say, Aki can't even be a part of this one. He's not even near the pit. He might even go down to bin on the side as Baron is taken, and now Aki the target as they start to look for more. BLG, we saw them chase down just a moment ago. They're going to try and make it happen again. Bin setting things up, looking for the knock-up. That's a flash bin as Photic's been found. Shun diving into
Rookie.
TP comes through. Rookie re-enters the fight, and the bailout isn't enough. Even Rek'Sai can't dive that deep.
Rookie comes back with the help of his team. They end up winning that gamble. Turns out NIP They do have some fight left in them. I thought that Dragon play into the Baron was a little bit of a spectator scenario. It feels like sometimes NIP, when they're not on the objective first, they can struggle to get into the pit in time to either get a steal or a fight. It's kind of just playing, you know, Safari League of Legends, it feels like. But they do get themselves kill just on the back end of that play as kind of a consolation. Problem is, they still now have to play a wide map comp, trying to play around some side lanes against the Baron. Now if BLG can open up a gold lead with those empowered minions, it'd be a big, big moment for them. Great play from the bot lane of BLG. Gets straight onto that mid laner out of position. Rookie, it's a minute error in positioning, but that is all it takes. BLG, you give them an inch, they take the entire damn arm.
Fair play from Aki there. Great ult onto Elk. It almost saves Rookie's life. Elk doesn't get to get his rend off, so that significant burst of the Hail of Blades doesn't really pay off. And almost gets Rookie out to safety. But unfortunately, Rookie didn't have that flash available. His flash has now just come up. So for the next play, slightly harder over target. But in the meantime, this Baron going to do so much work. These tier 2s will fall like paper. 4,000 gold lead. That next straight coming. 2.5 minutes as well. NIP have to figure out how they are going to contest in 2 minutes time, because a Hex Soul might just be curtains.
Well, and part of the reason that they are being so desperate right now is that it's Baron and the 6 grubs. It makes taking these towers so powerful. We called it out earlier in the game, 6 grubs. You don't have a great siege comp from BLG. Baron fixes that. Cannon is just going to be wailing away at this turret from behind the safety of
I love how he's behind the wall. It's like full-on artillery here.
Oh my god, he's found himself. It's a tactical
from.
cannon minion. It's found how to use cover.
Oh, superior strategic minds on BLG setting up their cannon minions with powerful artillery positions. Felt like I'm watching Mountain Blade Warband rather than League of Legends right now with the line battle going on. Shanji steps up with a gold card. But I feel like I've said that so many times, and so rarely does it lead to anything.
I can see that. No, just BLG playing very respectfully. On the other side, just kind of punishing the micro mispositioning of NIP. And the other thing here too is that, you know, walking up too far into Knight with a death cap, here comes the wave.
Time for an attempt, and they're looking for the support, but Elk just pops him out to safety. That was a lot used. Culling, wave, Shanji's ultimate as well. And it will save the inhib tower. So honestly, still pretty positive.
Still pretty positive in that regards. However, they need to get themselves out onto the map and to contest vision before the Soul Dragon comes up. NIP, we do not want to see some more Safari League of Legends. They watch the local wildlife of the dragon. Be claimed by BLG on the bot side of the map. If they give up that Hex Soul, that's a huge game-changing buff. Feels like BLG could use those combat stats to just win any fight they choose beyond that point. NIP, they're getting back out onto the map now. Aki's here. You can use the Hex Gates to do some shenanigans, but it does feel like with BLG pinning them into their base for the entirety of the Baron buff, they are working at a huge disadvantage here. They are fighting from a losing standpoint right now.
BLG now fighting for as deep vision control as they can acquire. Obviously the Baron buff is gone, so don't have the free prio they had before. And so you see 4 players muscling into the mid lane to get that prio for themselves. Very little vision. There is a control wall behind enemy lines there in the pixel brush, but the thing is, who's TPing for a flank on this team? Absolutely nobody. And
honestly, if you've got the Twisted Fate, you're using their ult. The ult's not up right now either. So, Shun on the flank once again. He is going to be spotted on vision. NIP, they cannot walk into Fog of War easily. No one can face check. You know, the Renata ult plus the Shockwave, and now they're getting Ren stacks on the Dragon. NIP, you cannot let this go for free.
Handshake lands onto Zhuo. The tidal wave comes out immediately. Does survive as Aki's over the wall. It's not enough. He doesn't find it. And the ultimate from Shun denies Aki's own. 4 players remain for NIP, but Bin doesn't want that fact to be true for long. Dives into the action as Photic's engaged by Shun. Shockwaves a sombrero coming out from Knight. He's fancying tacos tonight. As Elk steps forward again, it's a long old scrap as the spiraling despair comes through. On could be in trouble here. Big damage across the team, but just nobody's going down.
Not just yet. They're trying NIP to fight back as best they can with a lot of those ultimates being down. They do get themselves a tower in the mid lane, but still, Photic!
Traded a bit as I go full pensioner once again. Photic getting good damage down onto Elk, but Elk does return a lot of it. And we reset once more, but it's Soul now for BLG. And it feels like the whole game, we've seen NIP like trying to step forward, trying to poke in, trying to contest, but never really fully committing. And it feels in a lot of these scenarios, if they do commit, they just end up losing the fight. And
I think particularly diving into the shockwave is being a huge point of concern for them. Aki very nearly gets into this thing. Well, credit to him, it's against the Poppy Rend. Aki has been controlled remarkably well from BLG this entire game, from early game and elsewhere, and Shanji now potentially in a 1v2 on the side lane.
Yeah, doing his best to outspace this one, but you can't outspace that. Knight takes it down for 400 gold, 8-5 on the scoreboard.
The solo laners of BLG deal Twisted Fate the dead man's hand as he goes down in the side lane 1v2. Really hasn't been top drawer of the deck from him this game. He has had a good laning phase. He's actually gone for a different build. He went for the Kraken Slayer and the Rage Blade. Didn't talk about that much. It's not been that important. BLG, they are not stopping at all, though. Going towards the Baron. NIP, one last gas, another Ren steal has to be faced against.
Aki was the hero smiter in the series against WE. He was the one that got that Elder Dragon and kept NIP in playoffs. Might just look for it again. The ult goes wide, and the hostile takeover denies any such play from existence. BLG, they make it look easy. The control, as you worded it, over the enemy jungler has been immaculate.
I don't even think Aki has played that badly. I think BLG have just been so prepared for him. They've had him watered out in his early game. They have stopped him at every turn. I think in particular, I think On and Knight as the bulwarks of BLG, threatening with a shockwave and the ultimate, have stopped NIP's aggressive advances at every turn. This has not been a close game. BLG have taken this game by the neck and slammed it into the ground.
Photic forced to flash by Bin. It's funny, isn't it, watching Bin play Rek'Sai? It doesn't feel like he's been able to outright 1vX in the way that you usually expect, but the amount of pressure he's still putting out despite this matchup has been kind of insane to watch. And I don't know if BLG can actually end right here, maybe just waiting for the next wave before they continue this siege. Unfortunately, couldn't get the artillery position set up for their cannon this time, but they will be able to just walk this in on the next wave. NIP struggling to clear these Baron minions, and On stepping forwards. Rookie chunked there.
The ult
Chunk gets out with his life. BLG can just keep going forwards. The 6 scrums pay off. The Void might come out. It's a tidal wave across the team, but it doesn't seem to really matter much. They need Tsunami! And that's the shockwave flying on in BLG. And Knight specifically make it look beautiful as they finish out game number 1.
Oh, Knight has been spiking that ball into the enemy court the entire game. What an Orianna performance from Knight. I think this game, of course, it's an overall ensemble effort from BLG to control the enemy jungle, to be able to keep putting down vision. But seriously, that Orianna early onto the map, in top lane, in bot lane, holding the door shut in team fights, was a really good performance from Knight in that mid lane. It's not always the most flashy, and I'm sure probably the moment which people will remember from this game is whiffing that ult in the mid lane. But seriously, I think Knight had a stellar game there, alongside the rest of his team.
Yeah, I feel like NIP are going to have to change something coming into game 2. We need more proactivity. They had a relatively proactive composition, but it didn't feel like they ever had much opportunity to push their front foot forwards. BLG, if you give them that opportunity, they will slam the door in your face. We're going to jump into a break and find out what happens in game number 2.